Today we are looking at a cheat called Primordial. Now, this cheat is probably the most famous cheat coming out of 2021. I think everybody I know kind of wants this cheat, and I'm pretty lucky to get invited. I've been using this cheat a lot, and honestly it's kind of one of my favorites at the moment. It reminds me a lot of the Nemesis release back in 2020. Not saying the cheats are similar, but just the way that it kind of felt, and the fact that the auto sniper is the best part about the cheat. It just reminds me of the Nemesis back when they released their double tap update, and when it became like the best cheat in the world. So just remember, you can find the timestamps in the description and as well as the timeline if you want to skip through. To start things off, we're gonna look at the menu, then go through this in the order as the tabs are looking, okay? But the first thing we're gonna talk about is the menu. Now, the menu is actually pretty decent. It's pretty decent in the sense that I like the simplicity behind it. It doesn't, have the most simple design out of anything, but I'm talking about how everything is layered out and the way it just looks. I prefer simplicity, I prefer basic stuff so it doesn't get cluttered, and what's most important is the design in which everything is layered out. You always remember where something might be, and it's very easy to figure out where it will be. And if you're coming from Skeet, you can always resize the menu here as you want, of course, and then you can press this little button here, you can move something just like Skeet. So there's a lot of customizability. If there is something, you can of course lock the menu layout, then you can't press anything or resize. So in general, I think there is a lot that can be done, and also it's very simplicity in its design, and the customizability to everything is just spot on. So now we're gonna get in game. And we're gonna take a look at the aimbot. Now, of course, we're not only gonna take a look at the aimbot, we are going to take a look at everything that is in the Ragebot section here. And I'm not actually gonna show you test this on a bot. There isn't much to really talk about. Everything is kind of self-explanatory. There is the force prediction here. I think this is a unique feature. I think some cheats are creating this though, and some Luas. And we have certain keybinds. There is a lot of customization, and there is no right way to config. I think this cheat depends a lot more on playstyle and what your config is made to perform to. So in general, it just depends on what you like. A lot of settings can work, and in general, I think the config system for Primordial is actually very, very easy. But I'm also one of the best config creators in the world, so that might also be why, right? Either way, it does have everything that you kind of want. And if you take a look here at the auto peek and you want to create a keybind, you see, just like Never Lose, you can create several keybinds for one feature. I don't think it's on every single one, it's only on a couple of these. So we just show here plus add. Then you go into the Misc, for example, and we can only create one little keybind. But this is mainly for the Ragebot, which is kind of weird. I think there is for this too. Not too sure. But either way, it has a lot of customizability, and if there is something you want done, you can obviously do it in Primordial. So heading on over to the anti-aim section. There is a lot of customization to the anti-aim. There is a lot of things you can do here. It is like a pretty basic type of anti-aim system, but it does work really well. I think the Primordial anti-aim is very good on its own. And considering there is a lot of customization, you can always find something that fits you and that works for your type of playstyle. I personally use the jitter here. I use the rejitter a lot, and then take this down a little bit. And it works a lot when you're playing aggressive and you're trying to use the auto and just double tap everybody. So yeah, there is a lot of customization to the anti-aim. They also recently added this bottling feature for For those of you that don't know, the bottling and the roll angles are kind of new to the scene again. They were existing back in the day when fake angles was still a thing. Obviously they were patched eventually, but now people have kind of found a way to make this work again, so it does have that. There's a lot of small little things that's gonna help you along the way to customize the anthem the way that you want it to be. So now we're heading towards the visual section of the cheat. Now, we aren't going to talk about a lot of things because basically if there is something that you want for visuals in Primordial, you can obviously get it done because Primordial has the biggest customization for visuals in the world. So if you think of any cheats visuals, Primordial has it. So we're going to talk about a few things here. We're going to talk about the world modulation, we are going to talk about the hit markers, and then some of the ESP options, because everything else is you know, it has it. This cheat has everything when it comes to visuals. I was going to show you guys the world modulation here. It has the regular, you know, the night mode, the modulate sun. I don't think this feature works, but regardless, it does have modulate fire. So what modulate fire does is when you throw a fire, you can change the color of the fire. So it's kind of like that right now, but when we go green, you can see it changes colors. A really bad part about it is the fact that it doesn't remove the actual fire color, so you kind of have to blend it, but it's still a very cool feature nonetheless. And also my favorite feature, sunset mode. Now you can't see this very well on this map, but it removes the sun that's on the floor. You can make maybe a bit darker, you can see it more, I don't know, but regardless, this sun that's on the map, you can see on the side here, it removes the sun. And then my second thing we're going to talk about are these hit marker settings. So let's go back over to a Glock. So let's say we want to enable the hit markers, then of course we can have the crosshair, we can have the on top of the model instead. If we enable the different ones, you can have something like a particle explosion. So when you hit them, it's going to explode, which is a very good feature, and it doesn't actually take that much of your performance at all. So it's, if you want this, you can obviously have it in. And then the next thing we were going to talk about were something on the ESP settings here. What I was going to talk about is the fact that there are a lot of little few things, like this background frame. We have the name here, set the name, and then we have a background frame. Friendly, I'm a retard. So we do like this, right? Then we have the background frame, so it makes it a bit easier to see what it says on the text. Same goes for the ammo and the grenades. So he doesn't have any grenades, but if you give him some, it's gonna show there on the bottom with the background. I'll also make it show on the top if you want to, but more of the story is there are a few little things you can customize that's gonna make it a lot easier to see certain things. And it doesn't look bad either, it actually looks very good. The visuals for Primordial are my favorite out of any cheats, I'm pretty sure. I'm very pleased with how the visuals turn out in this cheat. So moving on over to the Misc tab, it does have this, okay. Everything else is pretty much, you know, basic. It has logs, console logs, indicators, blah blah blah. It does have its own nade helper, which does work properly, by the way, for those of you that don't know, and you can convert some of the nades from gamesense, but not a lot. There is a converter that somebody's made, and my friend is making one. I think he gave up on that though. But there are just small things like this that make a huge difference, because you don't have to do that for Lua anymore. And then also these for the movement players. Movement players are kind of dog shit and probably the most cringe content on YouTube, to be honest, but that's just my opinion. but I've never tested these, so I don't know how good they are. Regardless, they exist for those of you that wants it. Yeah, that's kind of it, to be honest. And there is, of course, change the color of the menu if you want to. Let's go with a blue. But yeah, everything's kind of, you know, it's pretty basic for what a cheat needs nowadays. So now heading into something that you guys might have already noticed, is the skin section. Now you might wonder how I have this M9 Bayonet Marble Fade that is completely pink, and a pink G3 SG1 Fade. So I want to take on the feature we were talking about before, the sunset mode, to make my skin stop shining. But there is, of course, just a regular skin changer that works properly. The animations work fine for every weapon. But then there is this here, the custom colors. You can go to the T-knife here, and go custom colors. I guess it's not updating, but if you change the knife here, you can see it's marble fade, but then we turn on custom colors, changes to marble fade. So in general, the skin section is very customizable. My CT knife is also a ceramic fade that is pink and blue. You guys might have probably seen these skins a lot, because a lot of the primordial users are using my configs that I posted on the forums, which is always a good thing. I mean, my configs are great. You guys should use them too. But regardless, these skin settings are incredibly good, and it works for any gun, of course. You can change the way any skin works, so it takes the marble fade and turns it into a different color, which I really like. And you can have different skins per team, which is also great. So all in all, I think this cheat actually is very good. It does have some flaws, especially with the aimbot. It tends to miss a lot of the easy shots, and sometimes it doesn't really shoot. But this cheat was just released a couple months ago, so you gotta keep that in mind when you look at this cheat, okay? Well, it hasn't been out for a very long time, and it doesn't have that many users at the moment. Just keep that in mind when you look at this, because this cheat is on a very good path to be something special. It's all up to Ricari now to not become like Reese and kind of just drift away from the community. It all relies on Ricari to actually do something here, because he has a very promising cheat, and he's also one of my favorite code-ups because he's very active in the community itself. He's a pretty funny guy. So yeah, this has been my review. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a great day. Okay, peace out.